Greetings everyone, and welcome to another episode of Platypus Knitting. It has been a while, so for any new viewers I will reintroduce myself, which I guess I normally do in every episode anyway. My name is Bobby Olan and I am a knitter and crafter in Victoria, Australia. I am coming to you from the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and I would like to acknowledge them and pay my respects to their elders past, present and future. It has been quite a while since I last recorded. I had always intended to take December, possibly January off, but life just got busier a lot sooner than I had expected and I just disappeared. Yeah, sooner than I had expected. So here I am. I'm back. Happy 2024, everyone. I hope that you have all had a great summer so far for those of you down here in the Southern Hemisphere with me, but it has kind of been a very all over the place summer in terms of season. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I hope you've all been doing well since I last saw you, getting in some time for crafting, spending time with loved ones, and just enjoying life. Yes, is that all that I have to say at the start? I do just want to mention that I do my best to put all of the links for everything that I mentioned down in the YouTube description below. But if I miss anything, please just leave a comment and let me know, and I will fix that up for you. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? So I am going to try to get through things fairly quickly and not do a very big in-depth discussion on all of the projects and things that I want to talk about, but that is usually my intention, and I usually end up just rambling away, so we shall see how that goes. I will start off with a couple of projects that I had on the needles last year. The first one is a scarf that I had designed for my sister's fiance. He is a big Melbourne Demons supporter, so he had requested a scarf for his birthday, which was in the middle of the year last year. He didn't ask for it until it was pretty much his birthday, and then I did take longer to make it than I had originally planned, but also the way that I did it, you would have seen if you've watched any of those other videos where I had talked about it previously, but I didn't want to do just like a plain striped scarf because I felt like that's something that he could have bought anywhere. So I did a little bit of a unique design. I decided to do it in the round, and I decided to put in some intarsia in the round to make the V shape that is part of the D's logo, identity, branding, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, I sadly did not get to see him unwrap the gift. I always love seeing people receive my handmade items. That is one of the things that brings me joy in making things for other people. But anyway, he very, very much appreciated it and said that he loved it and will treasure it forever. So that was lovely to hear, and I am really happy with how it turned out. The next project that I will mention is a vest that I was actually knitting for myself, and I am very amused because I do remember that in one of the episodes where I talked about it last year, I was saying that for one thing, I was participating in a vest knit-along, and then I had said that, oh, vests are such small projects, they go so quick, I'll be done with this in no time at all. But of course, like, I'm still not actually finished with it. And yes, of course, they are smaller garments than like a full adult-sized sweater, but there is still a lot to them. I have used more balls of yarn than I had expected to use. I can't remember how many off the top of my head now, but I'll show you where it's at now. There were a few things that I also had to reknit just because I didn't like how they were fitting or sitting on my body. So it is a pattern by Wendy Bernard from the book Custom Knits, which I'm pretty sure I have shown previously, but it has a shawl color, and that is one of the things that I had to reknit when I'll explain and then I'll show it to you because I feel like I can't show you and talk at the same time anymore. So I knit the shawl collar first, and then I did one of the armholes, and when I tried it on, there was all of this bunching that was going on, like just on my back, like at the back of that armhole, just on that upper back section. I really need to I purchased a class on Crafty. I'm just going to note that down as one of the things to link down below. Crafty class. Yes, that, is all about knitting to fit. And I really need to watch it. I haven't watched it, and I probably bought it over a year ago. But anyway, I need to figure out how to, adjust garments for that, because that is a problem that I have had before. Anyway, yeah, so there was too much fabric back there. So I decided to do two things. One is I picked up the armhole at a different rate than mentioned in the pattern. For most of the armhole, I picked up what the pattern said, but for the back, the whole back of the armhole, I picked up at a much lower rate, so fewer stitches. I can't remember exactly what I did. Maybe around the whole armhole it was like 3 stitches for every 4 rows or something like that, and then I think I did 1 to 2 pickup ratio in the end. And anyway, I think that worked out a lot better. But then I also decided to reknit the shawl collar and pick up more stitches along there too, just because I felt like it was pulling my neck forward. And so yes, I picked up more stitches, and I also I can tell that I'm just like rambling on and on about this pattern when I said I tried to do things quickly. But anyway, when it came to doing the short rows for the shaping, I was doing something like I was doing the turn on every 3rd stitch past the previous turn or something like that, and on the second version of the color I did the 4th stitch past every turn for the short rows. Yeah, I hope that's making sense. I'm not very good at explaining. Anyway, I haven't finished that, but I am much, much happier with how that is looking. So that's one of the armholes there. It's black, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see anything, but where am I? What am I doing? Oh, I have actually, I haven't picked this up in so long that I couldn't even remember where I was at. I thought that I still had to finish the color, but there it is. The color is done. I always find that word so weird to say. Anyway, all that I actually have left to do is the second little armband, and I've picked up the stitches. It's only like 8 or 10 rows or something like that. You can see like how short it is, but I have put it away because I am once again focusing on gift knitting. But I'll pop it on for you very awkwardly so you can see. Okay, so yeah. So this is sort of it here. Oh, it will also need like a little band here for the buttons, so it closes like that. It's a cropped vest. It's going to have a couple of buttons there, and you can, I think you can still see how there is bunching on this arm where I haven't finished the armhole, and hopefully there's none on the other arm where I have done the armhole. Oh, I forgot that there is something else that I wanted to get your opinion on with this. First of all, actually, I love this new t-shirt that I got for Christmas. There is something that I am undecided on with this vest. So, like I mentioned, it just has like a very short button band, and it does need buttons. What I'm trying to decide is if I want to use this cute moon button or this cute pair here, which is a bee and a beehive. And I do think that both those options would look really good on the black, although maybe the moon might possibly pop better, so maybe I'll just go for that. But let me know what you think, and eventually I will get back to finishing this project and putting some buttons on it. So that is that one. What is next on my list? Oh, yes. So I think I did also say at the end of last year that I wasn't planning on knitting any Christmas presents. I changed my mind. I knit my partner one pair of socks. So I knit him these here. These are in the Shuffle Wool Admiral Flakes yarn. So that is one there. I am a bit concerned that I've knit it a bit long because I think I got a bit mixed up with how much negative ease socks should have lengthways. I think it's meant to be about an inch, but I read something somewhere that was saying like add an extra centimeter, like, oh no, take off a centimeter for shorty socks for a better fit. And I thought that was saying just overall foot length take off a centimeter, not overall foot length take off an inch and then an extra centimeter. My partner hasn't really worn them yet because whenever I make him a new pair of socks, he thinks that they're too precious to wear for a while, and he wears all his old socks. And yeah, anyway, he'll get around to wearing this eventually. So this is just a plain sock for the most part. I used the numbers I'd gotten from Roxanne Richardson's August sock knit along, where she goes through fit for socks. So I have made him socks using that before, and I think it's like, yeah, it's nice to be able to make something that is really designed to fit his feet and his ankle, and like, you know, the way that all of those things work together. Anyway, rambling again. The main difference with these is I tried this for the first time, this heel tab here, and I really like it, actually. And he has said that he prefers this kind of cuff to your normal ribbed cuff from now on. So I'm going to make him these from now on, and I think I do want to make a pair for myself as well so that I can see how they fit. The pattern for the heel tab that I used is the, looking at my notes, Heel Tab for Short Socks by Amanda Steck. That is free. The August sock cal pattern recipe, whatever you call it, is a paid one, but the heel tab is free. And what Amanda says for it, therefore these are all for top down socks, I should say, is that you do the heel tab and then pretty much immediately go into creating your heel. That's why she calls it a heel tab. Well, it's on the heel anyway. But my partner likes his socks to go just above his ankle bone. So I did do a little bit of ankle length there before I started doing the heel tab. For these ones, I did a short row heel. I don't think they're my favorite. I think next time I make a pair of socks, I might just go back to doing the eye of partridge heel flap and see how that goes. Or I don't know. I don't really dislike these. I think they're just not my preferred heel. Anyway, so they were a hit. Sorry, I don't know if you could hear the traffic outside. I've got my window open today because it's a bit stuffy in here. But yes, I'm super happy with how that has turned out and looking forward to making more. Oh, did I show you both? There you go. Yeah. Yes, so yeah, really happy with those. So that was a new project that I started and finished last year for Christmas. Next up is a crochet project, actually. So I when we were doing our Christmas shopping, I found out that one of our nieces is really into Bluey. So I decided that I would make her something Bluey themed for her birthday, which was at the end of January. I don't think I started that until possibly like sometime in January. I didn't start it until the new year, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, I remember what I did. I procrastinated and I only started it a week before her birthday party, which I would not have done if it was a knitting project, but because it was crochet and, you know, it's a little tiny garment for a 3-year-old, I thought it's going to go by quicker. I don't need to plan for as much time as I would with a knitting project. So anyway, I found the Bluey Skirtall dress pattern by Trisha Jessica. I actually found it on Ravelry, I'm pretty sure, but then when you go to purchase it, you do that through Etsy. So I bought it on Etsy. It turned out really, really well. I have to say that because I did it so last minute, I was up until 2 in the morning the night before her birthday party finishing it off. So I do need to be better at my project planning, but it worked out really, really well. I knit it in 4 Seasons Marvel yarn, which I got from Spotlight. I would have preferred not to use an acrylic, but I really I couldn't find another yarn in like a worsted or an Aran weight in a wool or a cotton that was going to give me the exact shades of blue that I needed to make Bluey look like Bluey. So I went with an acrylic yarn, and I figured because it's a dress, she's not really going to be fully enveloped in it like in a sweater, so the breathability of the garment I felt wasn't as much of an issue, so I went with the acrylic yarn. And yeah, really, really happy with how it turned out. We don't see that family very often, so she's still really shy around me, and she didn't want to talk to me at all that day. There was even a point where we went up in her room to look at one of her other toys that she got for her birthday, and she was like, no, you have, waiting for the vehicle to go past, she was like, no, you have to go downstairs, you have to leave. But as soon as she opened the present, she wanted to wear it, which is the biggest compliment, I feel. And she yeah, she just loved it immediately, and I'm so, so happy about that. I'm really happy with how it turned out. There were a few sections in the pattern where some numbers got a bit mixed up. So the pattern it comes in 2 sizes. I knit the 3 to 4 year old size, and some of the numbers, it looked like she'd written the 1 to 2 year old size first and then copied it and was changing some numbers, and it looked like possibly some of the numbers had been missed. So that is one thing, but it was a really easy issue to sort of like figure out what was going on, and you know why the stitch counts weren't quite adding up. So that's, yeah, I still very, very highly recommend that pattern. I think she did a fabulous job with it, and it just looks amazing, and obviously well loved. The only other thing is that my niece is quite tall. She has tall parents, and I forgot to take that into account. So I wish that I had thought of it basically and lengthened the skirt. But I mean, she's going to be wearing leggings and a t-shirt under it anyway, so it's not really that big a deal. The next project that I want to talk about is another gift knit that I am knitting for my bestie's new baby. So the baby has already been born. They were born at the very, very start of the year, and I didn't start this project until after I had finished the Bluey project. It is still going. I sort of have a soft deadline in my mind for when I would like to have it done and finished. My friend lives in Sydney, and she's going to be moving back to Melbourne in around a month, so I would like to have it finished by then, but I'm not going to push myself like I did with the Bluey project to get it done exactly by a specific date, because I don't think that's a good way to be crafting. So anyway, it is the Teddy Bear Illusion Blanket by Steve Plummer, who is like the wizard of illusion knitting designs, in my opinion. He has so many designs. There are other ones that I want to make as well, but yeah, I really enjoyed making the Star Illusion Blanket that I made last year for a present, and I really wanted to do the same kind of thing for this friend's new baby, but in a different pattern. So this one is a paid pattern, and this is what I have of it so far here. I'm showing you the back so you can kind of see the design. That's one of the bear's paws there. Oh dear, dropped a stitch. I really should chuck on. Gonna do it now before I forget. Except that I don't know where I've put them. I'll just have to be careful and remember later to put my stitch stoppers on here. Anyway, okay. Carefully. Let me swing it round and show you the front. So that's it there. Mostly just looks like stripes to you. And if I do this, you can sort of start to get a sense of it, but it is tricky. It's very tricky to show. Trying to get the right angle. Where is a paw? Is there a paw there? You can kind of. This isn't going to work. I won't try too hard to show you. But, yeah. So I'm only kind of just past the paws. So there's still a long way to go on this blanket. But, yeah, I think it's going well. I'm excited about how it's going to look. And, oh, is that there? There we go. Look at that. There's a paw. Hey, we did it. Yeah, so really excited about this. I am making this in 100% cotton yarn, which is Fiddlesticks Finch 10 ply. Yes, there you go. In the colorways, what are my colorways? So the off-white color is called Jute, and the bluish color is called Peacock. And I am loving, I love like matching things wherever I can. So I have put it in this lovely, gorgeous, I absolutely love this bag by Crystal Cat Stitchery. Crystal Cat Stitchery. I took off her label. Anyway, I love her bags. I bought her bags before. I've talked about them before. This is one of her pouches that I bought at the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show last year. And this is, I had bought a pouch. Let me just grab it. So I had bought this pouch at the Sheep and Wool Show, and she had, I know from Instagram that she had another fabric that was more leaning towards like the blues and greens. So at the show she only had the pouches in both fabrics. I chose this because I knew that I was going to ask her to get a custom bag made in whichever fabric I didn't buy at the time. And because the bag is bigger and would be more visible, I really hope that noise outside isn't interfering. Yeah, I wanted to choose the fabric that I liked a little bit better because of the colors. I'm much more of a blues and greens kind of girl. So yes, I custom ordered this last year, and I absolutely love it. I think it is so gorgeous. And yes, so a sort of bluish and white bag with a bluish and white project. And to cap it off, I even, when I'm working on it, I have the blue yarn sitting on the blue butler there, and the jute yarn sitting on the white butler there. So all that matchy-matchy just makes me happy. And let me just make note of those things too to put in the notes. What did I say? Crystal Cat and the Sheep Show. Yes. And I think that is all of my projects that I had to mention. All of my projects that I wanted to mention. Yeah, so for those of you who are only here for the crafting content, thank you so much for watching. For anyone else who is interested in sticking around, I just thought I'd chat a little bit about plans for this year. So last year, I feel like half my episodes were talking about how my mojo was up and down and all over the place and not around, and I just wasn't really doing much. So I definitely feel like it was my lowest in terms of knitting motivation. And I've sort of like come to accept that that's just normal. Like everyone goes through it. You know, we all have other things going on in our lives. This hobby is really important to me. I'm sure it's important to a lot of you as well. And I care about it and I want to make the time to do it, but I just want to acknowledge that the desire to do it does fluctuate, and that's okay, and I should stop talking about it and making such a big deal out of it and feeling bad when I don't feel like knitting, or when I'm not feeling like I'm doing something productive in making something. Like, that's, why is that an issue? It's not. So I just want to be a bit like easier on myself this year with that. I have been feeling more motivated, but that just means I'm just in one of those up periods. It doesn't mean, oh, I was in like a slump for all of last year and now I'm back and this is the way it's going to stay. You know, it's just going to continue to be up and down. So I kind of want to use that realization to sort of embrace my more multi-craft natural side. I don't know if that, I don't like that phrasing, but anyway, whatever. Anyway, yes, I want to explore all the other crafts that I want to do more. I have so many other projects that I have either started and not touched, or are sitting there waiting for me. And I want to do them, but I always just prioritize knitting. So to try to sort of help myself become a bit more well-rounded in that regard. So I'm just smiling because there's just a bird chirping outside, and I don't know if you can hear it, but I shouldn't be letting it distract me. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Oh, I forgot to bring up, I made a 12-sided die out of cardboard, and I wrote down all these different crafts on it so that when I don't know what I feel like doing, I could just roll the dice and let it decide for me which craft I would work on. I have only used it once when I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, and for that instance, there were, I think, 4 things that I sort of felt like I'd be happy to be working on. So I did roll the dice a few times until it landed on one of those things. So I'm not being strict about it because, you know, this is still just a hobby and it should be fun, and I shouldn't be really forcing myself to do things. So yeah, I'm using it to try to help me explore other crafts in my life. But yeah, I still just want to allow myself the flexibility to do what I feel like doing. Anyway, so what else do I want to say about that? Yes, so one of the things that I am doing, again, to try to be more multi-craftual is I have a set list over here, I'll show you in a sec, of the knitting projects that I would really like to work on this year. And I would like to not knit projects, I would not like to add more knitting projects to that list in an effort to give myself more time to do the other crafts and not just be like, okay, this knitting project's done, now I want to do this one, this knitting project's done, now I want to do this one. I have to get through like all of these lists of all the things that I want to make. No, I don't want to do that. I've never completely finished a list of all the knitting things I want to do anyway. So the list does have a couple of blankets, including that bear blanket that I just showed you. So there are big projects in there, which will take up plenty of time and give me plenty of time for knitting, and I may not even still finish all of them. But yes, I did also then write down all of the other projects that I either have on the go or would like to find time to work on this year, so that when I roll the dice, whatever it lands on, I have something for that craft. I should say on the dice, one of the spaces says other and one of the spaces says blank. Again, to just, not says blank, it is blank, which I'm kind of just using to be like roller's choice. I don't know. Anyway, this is my board here. You probably won't be able to read a lot of it. I don't know how terrible the lighting is going to be, but yeah, so there's few knitting projects on the top. And so one of the things here is socks for gifts. So I could knit as many of those as I want. And I'll probably sneakily add at least one pair of socks for myself in there. But yeah, and then I have this much bigger list of all other projects that I want to do. So I have here spinning project, printing project, bookbinding, quilting, a sort of Sashiko borrow project, which is actually that bag that's hanging up there, that's been hanging up there for so long. A raffia basket that I started, I think, from the Bendigo Sheep Show 2 years ago. A couple of cross-stitch projects. What's this? Oh, weaving, embroidery, another crochet, 2 crochet projects actually, a couple of sewing things. Yeah, so there's a lot on here that I want to do, and I do want to do all of these other things. So I need to be less selfish about knitting. No, knitting has to be less selfish. Knitting has to let me go a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of like my aspirational big overview plans for the year. Oh, that board, by the way, is just a piece of Perspex that they were throwing out at work. It must have been something really old that was used for some display somehow, and I just pinched it because I thought it would make a good whiteboard, and it's working pretty well. So yes. Is there anything else that I want to say? How long have I been recording? Does it say? Do you tell me? I am just looking. That's funny. Oh, there's the record time. Oh, wow, it's been less than an hour. Yay! I feel like I always just talk for so long and it just goes for hours. So I do have time. I did want to show you one thing. So last year, sometime after I had recorded the last video, before Christmas, I went up to Sydney to visit my friend, who I mentioned, who I'm knitting the baby blanket for. And whenever I go to Sydney, the number one thing that I have to do is go to Kinokuniya. It is my absolute favorite bookstore in the entire whole wide world. I even like it a lot better than the Kinokuniyas that I went to when I was actually in Japan, because it's the one that's in Sydney is just really big. Every area has a lot more books than you would find in any other bookstore. Like, I go into a normal bookstore and the crafting section, including knitting and everything, is, like half a shelf wide, maybe 2 shelves if you're lucky. But this one, it has like a whole big section just for knitting, a whole section just for crochet, a whole section just for embroidery. It had a whole like little stand just for Sashiko. Anyway, so that's my number one stop, and I just wanted to show you one of the books that I picked up while I was there. Here it is. So it is called 1000 Japanese Knitting and Crochet Stitches, and I think it is fabulous because it is the first one that I, at least, have come across a stitch library, a stitch dictionary that has both knitting and crochet. And not only that, like, you can see from the cover that it also has color work. So just to give you a bit of a flip through, like, they're all, your more basic ones, some that are just done in multiple colors to give you a better idea of the stitch. But then they do also have, there you go, some like actual color work things. So a few there. And then, of course, they're fun. Then, of course, there is also, where is it? Yeah, we get into crochet. So it's explaining basic stitches too, which I always need to look up when I start a crochet project, because I do it so infrequently that I forget. But yeah, so some basic stitches, and then a crochet stitch dictionary, which I think is so good, so nice, and color work crochet too. So yeah, so it definitely does have a lot more knitting than crochet. So just to give you an idea of that, that's knitting and that's crochet, but still, you know, it has both. It's fabulous. It'll be interesting to see if I do finally learn how to read crochet charts, because to me, I just do not understand them. But the thing that I do love about the Japanese stitch dictionaries is that it's all charted, and I prefer charts to written instructions. So I just think that is a fabulous book. I haven't used it for anything else yet. I haven't had a chance to. But also with my stitch dictionaries, I do just like having them to flip through and just, you know, see all the amazing, beautiful designs that are out there, get a little bit of inspiration. Yeah, I just like to have it on my shelf. I will actually mention one more book that I got just from a local bookstore. I went in there on a lunch break once, and shockingly, I actually found something that I liked. And it is this amazing Sashiko book here. So I had looked at the Sashiko section when I was in Kinokuniya, and I didn't find anything that was really speaking to me. But this one I just think is fabulous and modern and interesting. Probably one of my favorite designs is this one on the back with the paper clips. I think that's really cool. So one day, you know, it's on my dice. I would include this probably in the embroidery if it rolls embroidery, but you know, I'd love to actually do some proper Sashiko sometime, and it just has some fun, you know, designs that I haven't necessarily seen anywhere else. That jigsaw puzzle one is pretty fun too. So yeah, so many things that I want to do, so little time as usual. Yeah, so that was a big rambly craft for thought. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts and my plans. Yes, so the last segment, although actually those books would technically be eyes and ears. Sometimes I get confused with my own categories. Eyes and ears is for like recommending things that I have seen or watched or listened to. I guess seen and watched is the same thing. Or would they be eye candy? See, I don't even know what my categories are anymore. Eye candy was meant to be for like knitting patterns that I wanted to share, but I never use it. Anyway, here I am on a tangent again. The last segment that I want to do, as usual, is Heartful of Craft, where I share something that I'm grateful about. It doesn't always have to be related to crafting. This one is, and I just have to say that I am so grateful for people, particularly non-crafters, who really truly appreciate handmade gifts. So I mentioned that my sister's fiance was super appreciative of his demon scarf. And then, of course, my little 3-year-old niece as well, who was still too shy to talk to me, but just put on what I made for her straight away and loved it, and kept like wagging her tail, the little tail on the dress, and just showing it off to people. And that just filled my heart up with so much joy. So I am really grateful to everyone out there who appreciates gifts, any gifts really, but especially the ones that, you know, we do put so much time and thought and effort into, and love, of course, our love into those gifts. And yeah, it's just very nice. I'm sure you would all agree. Those of you who make gifts for other people, that is. So yeah, if actually, I'll be really interested to hear this. If anyone else has like a favorite story of someone appreciating one of your handmade presents, I would love to hear about that. So please leave that in the comments below. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode. And hopefully, knock on wood, I will be back again in a couple of weeks. But if not, I'll see you when I see you. I hope you all take care. I hope you all find some time for crafting. I hope you're all, looking after yourselves. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. See you next time. Fare thee well.